Growing up, my brother Jackson and I were inseparable despite our 3-year age gap. I still remember building forts and dreaming of our futures together. That bond made it all the more meaningful when I arrived at his housewarming party, $500 gift card in hand, excited to celebrate this milestone. After spending hours hauling furniture, hanging artwork, and arranging the backyard, I felt genuine pride seeing him settled in such a beautiful home. The party was in full swing when I approached him smiling. "What time tomorrow for the family brunch?" His face changed instantly. He rolled his eyes and snapped. "Bro, you are just the help. Only real family gets invited." Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment telling me where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you have ever been blindsided by family. Trust me, what I did after being humiliated changed everything. I have always been the practical brother. At 35, I have built a modest but successful career as a real estate agent in our hometown of Portland. Not wealthy by any means, but comfortable and proud of what I have accomplished through hard work and integrity. Jackson, just 3 years younger, took a different path after our childhood days of adventure. Our parents divorced when I was 14, creating the first real distance between us. Mom got custody of me while Dad took Jackson. 2 households, 2 different parenting styles, and slowly 2 very different brothers. Despite the growing gap, I never stopped trying to maintain our connection. "Camden, you are coming to my football game, right?" Jackson would ask during weekend visits. "Would not miss it for the world, buddy, I would promise." And I meant it. Every game, every school event, I made sure to be there even when our father frequently missed them due to business obligations. As the years passed, I watched my brother transform under our father's influence. The kind, imaginative kid who once spent hours creating elaborate stories with me became increasingly fixated on status, wealth, and appearances. Yet I continued supporting him, helping with college applications, lending him money when he blew through his allowance, and providing emotional support through his various job failures and tumultuous relationships. "You know you can always count on me," I would tell him, and despite his growing indifference, I meant those words. When Jackson met Sophia Winters, daughter of real estate developer Nathaniel Winters, his transformation accelerated. Suddenly, my brother was all about impressing his future in-laws, adopting their expensive tastes and dismissive attitude toward those they considered beneath them. The house was the latest symbol of his new life, a 4,000-square-foot modern masterpiece in the most exclusive neighborhood in town. Way beyond what a junior marketing associate could afford, but Nathaniel had helped with the financing, as Jackson vaguely explained during one of our increasingly rare phone calls. Despite my reservations about the person Jackson was becoming, I felt genuine happiness when he invited me to his housewarming party. It seemed like an olive branch, a chance to reconnect. I marked the date in my calendar immediately and even took the afternoon off work to help him prepare. I arrived at 11 in the morning, 6 hours before the party, ready to help. Jackson greeted me with a distracted half-hug phone pressed to his ear. "Great you are here. The moving guys bailed," he said after ending his call. "The furniture truck just arrived. Everything needs to be brought in and arranged before people arrive." For the next 6 hours, I single-handedly moved heavy leather couches, mounted a massive television on the wall, hung artwork according to Sophia's exacting specifications, and arranged the backyard furniture. My back ached, but I kept going, wanting everything to be perfect for my brother's big day. The $500 gift card to Williams-Sonoma had stretched my budget thin that month, but seeing Jackson's new gourmet kitchen, I knew he would appreciate high-end cooking supplies. I had wrapped it in simple but elegant paper, adding a heartfelt note about new beginnings and family. By the time guests began arriving at 5, I was exhausted but satisfied with our work. I quickly changed into the button-down shirt and slacks I had brought, the nicest outfit I owned, though I immediately felt underdressed as Jackson's new friends arrived in designer clothes and expensive watches. Throughout the evening, Jackson barely acknowledged my presence. He floated among his guests, champagne in hand, laughing too loudly at their jokes and name-dropping clients from his firm. I made small talk with a few people, but mostly stood awkwardly by the appetizer table, increasingly feeling like an outsider. "That is his brother," I overheard Sophia whispering to her friends, nodding in my direction. "The one in the Target shirt. Can you believe it? Jackson says he sells tract homes or something." They giggled, not bothering to lower their voices as I pretended not to hear. My face burned with humiliation, but I swallowed it down. This was Jackson's night, and I would not ruin it. As the evening wound down, I approached my brother, who was surrounded by Sophia's family and several of their friends. I had heard mentions of a family brunch the next day, and though I had not received a formal invitation, I assumed it was an oversight. "Hey, great party," I said, finally getting a moment with him. "What time tomorrow for the family brunch?" The conversation around us halted. Jackson's face transformed from pleasant to annoyed in an instant. He rolled his eyes dramatically, looking at his future father-in-law before turning back to me. "Bro, you are just the help. Only real family gets invited," he snapped. The silence lasted only a moment before the group burst into laughter. Sophia's father clapped Jackson on the back appreciatively. My brother did not meet my eyes, instead taking a long sip of his champagne as the conversation resumed around me. I stood frozen, the words cutting deeper than any physical blow. 20 years of supporting him, defending him, loving him unconditionally, reduced to just the help for a cheap laugh. The room seemed to spin as I mumbled some excuse and headed for the door, my brother not even noticing my departure. I sat in my car outside Jackson's new house for nearly 20 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, unable to process what had just happened. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the party continuing without missing a beat. No one had followed me out. No one had noticed I was gone. A memory surfaced. Jackson, at 9 years old, coming home with a bloody nose after the neighborhood kids had teased him about his second-hand clothes. I had been 12, but I had confronted those kids, taken a few punches myself, and walked my brother home with an arm around his shoulders. "You will always have me, buddy," I had promised. "Brothers stick together no matter what." The drive home passed in a blur of streetlights and swallowed tears. My phone remained silent. No apologetic text, no call from Jackson. Nothing. Just before midnight, my mother called. At 62, she still worked as a nurse at the local hospital, having raised me alone after the divorce, while my father enjoyed a comfortable retirement funded by questionable business ventures. "How was the party, honey?" she asked, her voice tired from her shift. "It was fine, Mom. The house is beautiful," I replied, not wanting to burden her with the truth. She had always been sensitive about the divide between her sons, blaming herself for not fighting harder to keep us together. "Did you give him the gift card?" "That was so generous of you, Camden." "Yeah, he loved it." I lied, realizing I had never even seen him open it. After hanging up, I spent a sleepless night replaying years of interactions with Jackson, seeing the pattern I had been too loyal to recognize. The missed birthdays, the unanswered calls, the condescending comments about my career choice, all building to that moment of public humiliation. The next morning, I scrolled through social media and found dozens of photos from the party. Pictures of the furniture I had arranged, the artwork I had hung, the backyard I had set up, all with captions praising Jackson's impeccable taste. Not a single mention of my help. No photos with me in them at all. Then came the brunch photos. Jackson, Sophia, her family, and our father gathered around a table at an exclusive restaurant downtown. Their perfectly coordinated outfits, the elaborate mimosa toast, the hashtag number family first. The exclusion was deliberate, calculated, complete. As I was processing this, my phone buzzed with a text from Jackson. "Hey, need help setting up the home theater system next weekend. Sophia wants to host a movie night. You free Saturday?" The audacity left me speechless. I was good enough to provide free labor, but not good enough to be acknowledged as family. I called in sick to work, something I rarely did, needing space to clear my head. Almost on autopilot, I drove to our old neighborhood, parking outside the modest split level where we had grown up before the divorce. The current owners had painted it blue instead of tan. But the tree we had carved our initials into still stood in the front yard. "Camden. Is that you, Mrs. Harrington?" Our former neighbor was collecting her mail. At 78, she moved slowly, but her mind remained sharp as ever. "Just taking a trip down memory lane," I explained after exchanging pleasantries. "Such a shame about that house your brother bought," she commented, shaking her head. "What do you mean? My nephew works for the county assessor's office. Said there was something fishy about that whole development." The Winters Company has been cutting corners for years. My professional instinct kicked in. As a real estate agent, I had encountered my share of questionable property deals. Mrs. Harrington's comment nagged at me all day. And when I returned home, I found myself logging into the county property database. The listing for Jackson's new house showed several red flags immediately. The property had changed hands multiple times in the past year, each time increasing dramatically in value with no improvements documented. A classic sign of a property being used to launder money or inflate assets artificially. Digging deeper, I discovered that Nathaniel Winters' development company had purchased the entire subdivision through a shell corporation based in the Cayman Islands. The financing came through a private investment fund that was currently under review by the Securities and Exchange Commission. My stomach knotted as I uncovered more. The help with financing that Jackson had so casually mentioned appeared to be part of a much larger fraudulent investment scheme. Winters was using investor funds to finance personal property for family members, disguising the transactions through a complex web of shell companies. As a licensed real estate professional, I had a legal obligation to report fraudulent transactions. But this was my brother's house, his future. Would reporting this make me the ultimate traitor? For days, I grappled with the decision while ignoring Jackson's increasingly frequent calls. Then came another family gathering, our father's birthday dinner. I reluctantly attended, hoping for a chance to privately discuss the situation with Jackson. Instead, I overheard him in the hallway phone pressed to his ear. "No, I cannot come in this weekend. I have to babysit my brother through setting up the entertainment system," he laughed. "The guy cannot even afford a decent shirt, but he knows his way around electronics. Why pay someone when I can just make him feel useful?" That was the final straw. The decision did not come easily. I spent another sleepless night weighing family loyalty against my professional ethics and personal dignity. By morning, I knew what I had to do. "You have seen the documentation?" asked Maria, a senior colleague who specialized in real estate ethics and compliance. "This is serious, Camden." I know, I said, spreading the printouts on her desk. The purchase price was inflated by 30% above market value. The down payment came from investor funds without disclosure. The mortgage was approved without proper income verification. "You understand your obligation as a licensed agent," she said gently. "This is not just unethical. It is illegal. He is my brother," I whispered. "And if he knew about this scheme, he could face criminal charges when it inevitably unravels. The sooner the authorities know, the better his chances of cooperating." That afternoon, I submitted an anonymous report to the Financial Crimes Division of the State Attorney's Office, including all the documentation I had gathered. I did not name Jackson directly, focusing instead on Nathaniel Winters and his investment fund. The investigation began quietly. I heard nothing for 2 weeks, then suddenly my phone exploded with notifications. 12 missed calls from Jackson in a single hour. Voicemails growing increasingly desperate. "Call me back immediately," the first one demanded. "Dad says there are investigators asking questions about the house." "What the hell is going on?" The fifth message. "I know you are there, Camden. Pick up the damn phone." The ninth. Finally. A text: "Coffee. Tomorrow. Cornerstone Cafe. 8 a.m. Do not make me come find you." I arrived early, watching my brother storm, and 15 minutes late. Gone was the polished appearance from the housewarming. His hair was uncombed, his designer shirt wrinkled dark circles under his eyes. "What the hell did you do?" he hissed, sliding into the booth across from me. "Hello to you too, Jackson," I replied calmly, though my heart raced. "How is the house cut the crap?" "Dad says someone reported Nathaniel to the financial authorities. They froze some of his accounts. Sophia is freaking out." He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Tell me you had nothing to do with this." "How exactly did you afford that house, Jackson?" I asked, instead of answering. "A 4,000 square foot custom build in Westlake Heights. On your salary." His face paled slightly. "Nathaniel helped with the financing. I told you that." "What kind of help exactly?" "Why does it matter?" he snapped. Then, seeing my expression, his tone changed. Look, he set up some kind of private mortgage through his investment company. Gave me a great rate. It is perfectly legal. Is it? I asked quietly. Because falsifying loan documents, misappropriating investor funds, and artificially inflating property values are all felonies. Jackson's face went from pale to ashen. How do you know about that? I am a real estate agent, Jackson. This is what I do. I recognize fraud when I see it. It was Nathaniel's idea, he said quickly, voice dropping to a whisper. He said everybody does it, that it is just how business works at this level. Did you sign the documents? He did not answer, which was answer enough. You reported us, he realized, eyes widening. Your own brother. I reported a fraudulent transaction, I corrected. One that could have sent you to prison when it inevitably collapsed. Do you have any idea what you have done? His voice rose, drawing glances from nearby tables. This was my chance. Camden Sophia was finally impressed with me. Her family was accepting me. I was somebody. You were always somebody, I said softly. You were my brother. I will make this right, he said, suddenly pulling out his checkbook. How much? 10,020. Name your price to withdraw the complaint. The insult cut deep. You think you can buy me off, like one of your father-in-law's cronies. What do you want then? He demanded. I wanted to be treated like family, I said simply. Not the help, not the embarrassing relative you tolerate for free labor. Family. This is how you show family loyalty, by destroying everything I have worked for. No, this is how I prevent my brother from becoming an accessory to fraud, I replied, and how I stop enabling someone who has shown me nothing but contempt. I stood up, leaving my coffee untouched. The investigators will contact you. Tell them the truth, Jackson. It is your best chance. If I lose this house, if Sophia leaves me, I will never forgive you, he called after me. I turned back one last time. That seems fair. I have not forgiven you either. The next week passed in a whirlwind of headlines as the Winters investment fraud case broke open. Nathaniel was arrested, accused of running a $100 million Ponzi scheme. Properties across 3 states were frozen, including Jackson's dream house. Sophia publicly ended their engagement on Instagram with a lengthy post about being deceived and misled about Jackson's character and finances. Our father, who had close business ties with Winters, was brought in for questioning. Then came the barrage of texts that Sunday night. Pick up the damn phone, you ruined everything. I let them go unanswered, feeling a complex mixture of vindication, guilt, and grief for what our relationship had become. The final confrontation happened at our mother's house, where Jackson had been staying since being forced to vacate the seized property. She had called me, voice trembling, asking me to come over. He needs his brother, she pleaded. I found him sitting at the kitchen table, the same one where we had eaten countless meals as kids. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed. Congratulations, he said bitterly. The house is gone. Sophia is gone. My job is gone. Are you happy now? No, I answered honestly. I am not happy that my brother was caught in a fraud scheme. I am not happy that he values status over integrity. And I am definitely not happy that he thinks I am just the help. Jackson flinched at the reminder of his words. I did not want this, I continued, but I would do it again. Because this house of cards was going to collapse eventually, and the longer it went on, the worse the consequences would have been. Why did you not just talk to me first? He asked, a hint of the younger brother I once knew finally showing through his carefully constructed facade. Would you have listened? Or would you have warned? Nathaniel covered your tracks and cut me out completely. His silence was telling. I have never stopped being your brother, Jackson. Even when you stopped being mine. 6 months passed before I heard from Jackson again. A tentative text asking if I would help him look at apartments. His credit was ruined, his savings depleted by legal fees, but he had found a job at a small marketing firm downtown. Nothing fancy, he wrote, but honest work. The 1-bedroom apartment we found was in a safe but unfashionable neighborhood, with peeling laminate countertops and outdated appliances. As we measured spaces for his few remaining pieces of furniture, I caught him looking wistfully out the window. Not quite Westlake Heights, he commented. No, I agreed. But it is yours, legitimately. No one can take it away. Rebuilding our relationship was a slow, uncomfortable process. Our first family dinner together, with both our parents present, was a tense affair filled with long silences and careful conversation. I want to be clear, I told Jackson afterward. I am willing to work on our relationship, but I need honesty. I need respect. And I need acknowledgement of what happened. I am trying, he said. And for once, I believed him. Over the following months, I watched my brother slowly dismantle the false identity he had constructed. It was painful to witness at times, like watching someone go through withdrawal. The designer clothes gave way to basics. The name-dropping stopped. The constant status anxiety began to fade. Meanwhile, I focused on my own healing. Weekly therapy sessions helped me process the betrayal and set healthier boundaries. I reconnected with old friends who valued me for who I was, not what I could do for them. I even started my own small real estate practice built on transparency and ethical dealings. The turning point came at our mother's birthday celebration. Jackson stood awkwardly, glass raised for a toast, his voice uncharacteristically humble. To Mom, who raised us to know right from wrong, he began. And to my brother Camden, who had the courage to hold me accountable when I forgot that lesson. Our eyes met across the table. The first moment of genuine connection we had shared in years. Later that night, sitting on the porch swing like we used to as kids, Jackson finally said the words I had been waiting to hear. I am sorry, Camden. Not just for what I said at the housewarming, but for years of treating you like you did not matter. You were always the better brother. It was never a competition, I told him. I know that. Now he nodded. The house, Sophia, all of it. I was trying to be someone I thought Dad and her family wanted me to be. I lost myself, and I nearly lost you too. We sat in silence for a while, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Do you think we can ever get back what we had? He asked finally. No, I answered honestly. But maybe we can build something new, something better, based on who we really are. The path forward would not be easy. Trust once shattered does not simply reassemble without showing its cracks. But that night I felt the first tentative hope that my brother might be finding his way back, not to the materialistic illusion he had chased, but to the person he was meant to be. What I learned through this painful journey is that family is not an obligation. It is a relationship that must be built on mutual respect and love. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to stop enabling their worst instincts and hold them accountable even when it hurts. And sometimes you have to be willing to lose a relationship entirely in order to create space for a healthier one to grow. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between loyalty and integrity? Or had to set boundaries with family members who took you for granted? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. And if you know someone struggling with toxic family dynamics, share this with them. Sometimes knowing we are not alone in these struggles makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, true family cherishes you, they do not use you.